Welcome to the World Story 22 channel, a channel that always presents stories about the history of countries in the world. On this occasion, Channel World Story 22 will discuss the cruelty of the Japanese colonialists in Indonesia. The arrival of the Japanese colonialists to Indonesia around the end of 1941 really made the Indonesian people really suffer. Japan colonized Indonesia after successfully defeating the Dutch in Indonesia during World War II. How cruel was the Japanese army to the Indonesian people? See the following explanation. But before continuing to the discussion, I ask for your support for this channel by liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing, so that this channel can continue to provide news about the history of countries in the world. The arrival of Japan in late 1941 started its colonization of Indonesia. Despite colonizing for a short time, namely between 1942 and 1945, Japan ruled very cruelly. Some examples of Japanese atrocities while in Indonesia are Romusha and the genocide of the Foreman in West Kalimantan. So, what were the Japanese atrocities against Indonesia? Take away people's rights. The arrival of Japan was accompanied by propaganda of the three A's, namely Japan of Light, Leader and Protector of Asia. In addition, Japan also claims to be the older brother of Indonesia. This was done to gain sympathy from the indigenous people. However, after occupying Indonesia, the Japanese army then took various needs from the people, such as food, medicine, and even clothes disappeared from circulation. As a result, people suffer so much and are forced to wear modest clothes and eat. Forced labor. The cruelty of the Japanese while in Indonesia was also seen in the practice of forced labor or Romusha. The Japanese army forced the Indonesian people, especially the farmers, to do everything they needed. The workers were forced to go to war, build forts, prisons, and so on. Every day, the forced laborers had to carry out arduous tasks without adequate rest and food, making the people guinea pigs for viruses and bacteria. When occupying Indonesia, Japan was involved in the Greater East Asia War and World War II. To win the battle, the Japanese army used all means, one of which was using biological weapons. This method is carried out by Operations Unit 731, which has a laboratory in Harbin, China. However, it turns out that in Indonesia there is a Unit 731 laboratory in the Klender area, Jakarta. Between 1942–1943, many forced laborers were suddenly found in critical condition. In addition, there are also those who are found showing symptoms of tetanus. This happened in Surabaya and Kalimantan. Allegedly, Unit 731 made the Romushas as guinea pigs from the biological weapons they made. Overseer genocide. The Japanese occupation of Indonesia left a deep trauma for the people of West Kalimantan. On June 28, 1944, the Japanese army massacred people in Mandor, West Kalimantan. The massacre was carried out because the Japanese army indicated there was a rebellion. It is recorded that the victims of the Overseer genocide reached thousands of people. Juganayanfu. Juganayanfu is a term for women who were forcibly taken by the Japanese military to be used as sex slaves. The majority of victims are women who come from Korea, Malaysia, China, to Indonesia. The Japanese military usually forcibly took every woman from her family, then placed her in a brothel. The aim of the placement was to make it easier for Japanese soldiers to channel their sexual desires. In fact, Japanese soldiers not only came every day to channel their sexual desires, but also beat, slapped, and killed the comfort women. Apart from that, Juganyanfu are generally given contraception so that they are sterile and not get pregnant. With all the cruel treatment received, not a few comfort women suffered damage to the uterine organs.